If Iran and its proxies engage in military activities and terrorist activities that kill Americans, they're going to be sorry. Iran is dedicated to aggression and instability and terrorism throughout the Middle East and beyond the Middle East. And it is in its interest sometimes to work with members of al-Qaeda, which is also dedicated to terrorist activities in that general region. So it should not really be surprising that there are some links here. Iran seems to want to make sure that al-Qaeda does not disappear, because some of the countries and people that al-Qaeda attacks are people that Iran likes to see attacked. I would only say this about that New York Times report. First, I think it's very clear that the United States is not seeking conflict with any country, and the president is not seeking conflict with any country. And in the same week, you saw the announcement of a reduction in the number of troops in Afghanistan and Iraq. So the notion that the president is, seeking or planning new conflicts is completely misleading. But I would also say that we know that Iran is engaged in very dangerous behavior in the entire region, and we see this in Iraq. And I think it should be clear to everyone, should have been clear before that New York Times story. If Iran or its proxies attack Americans and, worst of all, kill Americans, there will be a very strong U.S. reaction. This is entirely dependent on the conduct of the Islamic Republic. If Iran and its proxies engage in military activities and terrorist activities that kill Americans, they're going to be sorry. The sanctions program will, generally speaking, continue. We never announce sanctions in advance, but this is the maximum pressure campaign. You know that we, this week, announced some significant human rights sanctions commemorating 1 year ago the Mashar massacre. And there will be more sanctions coming in November and December. So you can expect that, yes. First of all of the countries who are concerned about these activities need to work together. And we're seeing more of that in the Middle East now. We've seen it through the Abraham Accords. We see it through a lot of cooperation that's not so public among these countries and with the United States and other allies, the British, the French, and many others. The second thing we try to do is to diminish the resources available to the Islamic Republic for these kinds of activities. That's one of the goals of the sanctions program, and it's worked. We see a reduction in the Iranian military budget. I mean, they've announced this for last year and this year. In their new budget, there are more reductions in their spending. We see it also in the fact that, as we believe, the amounts of money that Iran is giving to Hezbollah and Hamas and other groups has gone down because they simply have less money to spend on that kind of activity. So we push on all of these fronts, and we work closely together with the countries of the region. And I would just add one more thing, which is I think we've heard the voices of the people of Iraq who want to be governed from Baghdad, not Tehran. And we've seen and heard the people of Lebanon. We've seen them in the streets. We've heard what they're saying. And what they're saying is they want a new government that governs the country from Beirut. They don't want Hezbollah and people in Tehran determining the fate of their country. if you try to go back to the JCPOA and simply throw away all that leverage, the outcome would be really very unfortunate for the United States and for all of our friends and partners in the region and all of Iran's neighbors. So our view is that the leverage is there, and the United States should use it to get a much better agreement than the JCPOA.